Howdy people, welcome to my channel. I've decided to start this kind of weekly video where I just go over what I've been doing with the channel and some thoughts that are gathering as I go through this process. It's kind of a journaling. As I've said before, what I'm doing with the channel now is kind of archiving songs that I know and love and have been playing in some cases for years and years, some that I'm kind of reviving, others that I'm learning anew. I have a few ongoing projects, one with Bob Dylan. I may or may not decide to go through all of Bob Dylan's songs. We'll see how far I get with that one. But I decided a couple weeks ago to kind of go album by album, start with his earliest work and just go chronologically album by album. Whereas with the Beatles, I went A to Z because I had this Beatles songbook and it just kind of made sense organizationally to go A to Z. But I think with Bob Dylan, kind of makes sense to go album by album. And that's how the big Bob Dylan book that I have, songbook, is organized anyway. So I did post Free Will and Bob Dylan songs a couple weeks ago, and now I'm working on The Times They Are A-Changing. And when I work on these songs, I also listen to the album a lot. I put it on when I'm driving in my car, which I do a lot of because I drive back and forth between Shanghai and Kunshan. For those of you who don't know, I live in China. My family's in Shanghai, so I'm in Shanghai on weekends. I'm in Kunshan on weekdays. It's kind of like, I don't know, going between Manhattan and New Jersey, or Boston and, I don't know, Worcester or something. It's kind of a back and forth. So I listen to a lot of music in the car. And anyway, kind of going through what I did last week. And the other thing that I'm working on is Leonard Cohen. I just wanted to start by giving a shout out to this book here, Leonard Cohen, which I ordered on Taobao, and it came last week, and I just devoured it because it's such a great book. This is a comic book about the life of Leonard Cohen. And it's written by, it's illustrated and written by Philip Girard, who I guess is a fellow, from Montreal as well. I believe so. Yeah. So it's kind of a celebration of Leonard Cohen's life. And what I love about this book, I've read a few Leonard Cohen biographies in the past couple years, and I've also watched a lot of documentary films about Leonard Cohen. There's quite a few of them out there. But what I like about this book is that obviously it doesn't reveal anything new that the other biographies haven't revealed, but the way that it's structured, the way that the story is told, is that he's kind of on his deathbed, so to speak. You know, he's nearing the end of his life in, I think, 2016 was it, and he's looking back on his life and kind of reminiscing about all the highlights of his life. So what it offers is kind of all the highlights, all the high points in his life that led him to become the great artist and songwriter and poet that he became, including his love life. So there are a lot of scenes with different women in the book. And I wouldn't call it pornographic by any stretch, but, quite sort of frank and open scenes, love scenes and sex scenes. This is definitely not a book for children. Let me put it that way. If you want to introduce your child to Leonard Cohen, this is not the way to do it. But maybe if your child is a young adult, then you can. Then this is a nice way But I would say, like, it's probably not a good way to introduce Leonard Cohen. I think it's for people who love Leonard Cohen already and who know something about his story, because the flashbacks that he has on the significant moments in his life can be a bit disjointed and confusing if you don't know about his story. It can be a little bit difficult to figure out what's going on. So you definitely should know something about Leonard Cohen and his life in order to really appreciate the book. But I found myself laughing. I found myself in tears at points. It's just such a profound book about his life, you know, looking back on, again, all the kind of the high points and also points, episodes in his life that may have led to the making of a famous song or a significant decision that he made in his life, and so on. So great book, Bird on a Wire. Sorry, On a Wire. It's just called On a Wire. So it kind of starts and ends with the motif of the bird on a wire, and that's another nice framing of this book. So highly recommend it. So I have been putting up quite a few Leonard Cohen songs lately. I have a lot of Leonard Cohen songs in my arsenal, quiver, armory. God, why do we always use these violent weapon metaphors for, you know, a set of songs, a repertoire? So I've been putting up some of my favorite Leonard Cohen songs, and the list will grow in time. I probably won't go album by album because I'm not sure I want to do the complete Leonard Cohen, but we'll see. So it's more like selections of the best of Leonard Cohen that I'm working on. And I also put up a review of the Bob Dylan biopic, Complete Unknown. So if you haven't seen that, I recommend that you listen to or watch my review. You can just put it on as kind of a podcast if you want. It is 30 minutes long, so it's quite a long review. I am a professor. I like to talk. I talk a lot, and I like to share ideas. So I thought that got quite a lot of interesting feedback. A lot of people agreeing with some of the points that I made about the Dylan biopic. Just wanted to say, you know, all in all, I think it's well worth seeing. I may see it again. I may show it to my students in a few weeks. I think it's probably a good introduction for people who don't know much about Bob Dylan to kind of get to know a little bit about his story. It's got flaws, as I describe in my review. But overall, definitely a worthwhile movie to watch. And then I've just been, you know, digging into some old songs that I used to know, and songs that I'd kind of forgotten I knew. I have all these old folders that contain like lyrics and chords for songs going back 10 or 20 years, you know, different phases of my life when I was working on different songs. So sometimes I like to go through these and just remind myself what I was working on back then, what songs I was interested in, and kind of revive them. So I've been doing a bit of that recently on my channel, and I also, I don't know, I had this dream kind of like when I was taking a nap with this song lyric, and so I decided to search for that song. Sometimes we hear songs in our head that we haven't heard for 40 years. Like, I mean, if you're as old as I am, in my mid-50s now, you hear a song, you kind of hear a song in your head that you heard as a teenager, and it just kind of stuck in your brain, but you haven't heard it for 40 years. And then all of a sudden it just kind of pops up. It's funny how the brain does that. How we store musical memories and how music is connected to other memories. I'm really fascinated in all that, in the power of music as kind of a storage and archiving of memories, emotions, and experiences, and how we share music, how we experience music live, how we experience it recorded. a lot of the research projects and books that I've written and movies that I've made have to do with music and that kind of collective experience in some way or another. So that continues to fascinate me. Anyway, still continuing with the Rolling Stones project, but just kind of now and then popping up a song. Who knows? Maybe I'll also try to like go through the Stones chronologically if I get ambitious. But then there's just too many projects that I'm juggling, plus all my other projects. So I also kind of like the spontaneity of, oh, okay, today I'm going to work on these 3 songs and just see where they take me and see how they come out when I try to play them. So again, this goes back to that this is a kind of an archiving, a journaling of my kind of experience as a working yet non-professional musician. You know, somebody who likes to play music, who likes to organize musical events, who likes to play with other musicians, sometimes on stages, but certainly not relying on that as to make a living. Thank the Lord, because I think even with a musician, even for musicians who have like 100 times the skills that I have, it's still incredibly difficult to earn a living as a musician. Also, while raising a family. And having all those other obligations. So I've always seen music as a kind of a passion, a pursuit. You could call it amateur if you want. I'm not always happy with that term, but a kind of, a passion to pursue. It's something that runs deep in my family. A lot of my family members are musicians. I had an uncle who was a great guitar player who also played piano and other instruments and violin, and just was deeply into music and always inspired me when I was young. Unfortunately, he passed away. But I have another uncle who used to be a professional concert pianist, and whenever we get together, we always share our love for classical music, and he takes me to concerts. And he's in his 80s now, but still loves to go see live performances. And I have my mother was a pianist, and she's in her 80s too, and she still plays piano. She kind of taught me to play piano when I was a little kid. And my dad played guitar and piano. My stepdad wasn't really a musician, but he loves music, and he taught me all the great rock and roll history of rock and roll, and a lot of bands that I came to love, like The Who and The Doors. He had introduced me to. So I've just kind of grown up with musical people surrounding me, and it's always been kind of a personal passion of mine to play music, to listen to music, to sing, and so forth. You could say it's kind of in my blood. And a lot of my good friends are also musicians and so forth. And I hang out with a lot of musicians here in Kunshan. That might be another topic that I'll discuss later, because I'm doing a research project about this, which hopefully will lead to a book. But maybe I'll throw in a video just to show you of some of the guitar players and musicians that I hang out with in Kunshan, who are just unbelievably good. They're for the most part, they're Filipino musicians. They came here to China from the Philippines to work and live. They're just such fun people and generous, and just love to share their love for music. So that'll be a topic for another time. Meanwhile, don't forget to subscribe, and I love to get comments and feedback, and even a like is always a good thing as well. Just to know that there are people out there that appreciate my channel and what I'm doing. Oh, one final word before I I'm also, one thing I'm enjoying about this project is that I'm getting to meet other musicians online through YouTube, other musicians who are doing what I'm doing, who are posting either their own original songs or their versions of popular songs, of pop songs, basically. And so that's been a lot of fun as well. So I hope to meet more musicians who are kind of doing this sort of project as I go. And it's always inspiring to see what they're doing and how they cover. Oh, I use that word again, cover. I don't like that word. How they play versions, their own versions of popular songs, or how they construct their own original songs. And I did pop up. I did spend a little time last week doing some piano tunes and popped up a few of them, and I'll probably do more of that. I've been so focused on just playing guitar that I've kind of forgotten about piano. So I'll probably do some more piano. I did pop up an original song that I had kind of written on piano, and maybe I'll continue to make some original songs and put them up. And even if nobody's listening, that's fine. Still, it's just an archiving. I don't really mind if my posts don't get any views, because I'm not really doing this to become popular in any way, but it's more of a personal project. But anyway, regardless of that, I do love it when people make comments. If you want to introduce me to your site, that would be wonderful. And it's great to just make connections with people around the world. So please do, give me a shout, give me a comment if you like what I'm doing here. Anyway, over and out.